Well, welcome back to Crossroads. David Homer and Sue Bratton are here with Save Our Stories, or you know them as SOS, to talk about their efforts to kind of save some of these structures in Marion. Welcome. We're kind of in the dog days of summer, and you guys have had some dog days lately as well. David, we kind of we're not surprised, but I remember you and I standing about a year ago near the City Bank building. I remember the name of the bank. It used to be something else, and we found out that that was not going to be open. So right off the bat, is there anything we know about that, or is that going to be in limbo?
It's still really kind of sketchy. I mean, there have been some discussions about that. Obviously, our group, Main Street, I think the city, they're all concerned about what may happen in the future with that building. So we're certainly trying to put all the pieces together or bring people together to make something happen, or at least get a discussion started on that.
Okay, so that's so new, but Sue, meanwhile, the organization, SOS, is working on some things, and so when people think nothing's going on to kind of save these buildings, you guys have been very active. What's some good news there?
Well, I think the really good news is that the Quilters has been able to purchase the old PCC and St. Louis train depot at the corner of Washington and 10th Streets. They're going to use it for classroom space, seminars, and maybe a little bit of storage. The building had been a liquor store for many years, and then that closed, and it was just sitting there. It's really quite a historic building. It was built in the 1890s, and it served the downtown area. It's a wonderful building, and the good news with that building is that while it was a liquor store, the interior walls weren't damaged. So they're just pulling out false walls, and they'll be able to move forward with it.
Wow. Are there any other projects that you guys have going on right now that are really high on the list, top priorities for you guys?
Well, one of the, I can speak to one of those, and I think Sue has worked on the other, at least in the beginning stages, but we have discussed with a potential tenant, if you will, or a buyer for the old fire station located at 14th and Branson. And so I've personally had some discussion along with James Harris, who's with Halstead Architects, and we met with this individual. I have spoken to the city attorney, one of the city attorneys, about him purchasing that building, and I think they've reached out to him. I don't know where that stands, whether they've had an opportunity to sit down with him or we've had a chance to talk about that, but he has interest there. He owns property in the immediate area and wants to add that as a project as well. So we're kind of excited about that. I mean, it's a situation where the building is sat for quite some time, but there's a lot of history with that, and it's one of the oldest fire stations in the city, I believe now, still standing. Others have had some other uses, but this one would be kind of a unique use if he's successful at being able to purchase that building.
So this is, people, I know a lot of what SOS does is really educating people, and if you've had the benefit, as I have, as you have probably, of maybe doing a tour with Bill Munn, like of these Plato homes, Samuel Plato homes, or just anything with Bill Munn,
It's a story.
It is, and so it's obvious to you and members of your group, but when people say, well, why are you trying to save these buildings? Just let them go, build new. What do you tell people about heritage that's tied to some of these things?
Well, I think that by saving more significant structures, we are preserving part of our history. And I think it's important for any community to respect the history, the people that have come before us, and to try to maintain those standards. And some of these old buildings have such wonderful character. Just as they stand, the architecture is just, it just speaks to the history of what's come before us.
Yeah, what are some of your guys' goals for like the rest of maybe the summer or coming up months for you guys?
We just came off of what we believe was a successful workshop, which was just this past Saturday, and it was well attended, and we tried to gear some of the discussion there with some of the things that are being looked at downtown, such as smart growth for downtowns and loft living. We get a lot of questions through our group with people, you know, hey, how do I get on the National Register? What's the process for that? So we tried to gear some programs that way, and we thought that was successful. And then later this fall, I believe coming up soon, we have scheduled with Susan Langford at Ball State University, who's a professor, I believe, in design. Is that correct?
I believe it's.
And so she's going to bring a group of students over, and kind of a two-pronged project. One, to survey some of the old buildings that we have. We haven't quite decided whether those will be specific to Plato, how we might do that in the downtown core area, as well as putting together a revitalization plan for the immediate area around the library and the areas that we're talking about, the train station, the Quilters, Thornburg House, that specific area. So those are a couple of things we have. One we just had, and then what we've got coming up this fall.
Well, help us know how do people keep up or come to one of these workshops, or we've got a Facebook group. I know we've got several that I'm on, Remembering Marion or Remembering Marion. What's the place we want to point people to find out?
Well, we have a Facebook group, SOS Marion. We also have a website, SOS Marion, and people can contact us. I work at the Marion Public Library. People can call and ask me questions. We have an e-blast that goes out every once in a while. If you're not on our list, give me a call and I'll put your email address on it.
That's great. Doing great work, and like I said, there's stories everywhere as we find out on Crossroads. We like to tell people about them, and just go through that Marie Webster house, the quilting hall, as I did the other day for the first time, and you realize that's a piece of our history right there.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, with all, you know, when we actually try to decide on what to name our group, you know, 4 years ago when we put it together, it just seemed to go with, you know, Save Our Stories, because every structure, every building, neighborhood, if you will, landscape, whatever, has a story to tell.
It does.
And we believe that in sharing that, being able to do that is part of the awareness, and also educating people about our community.
Well, thanks for doing that for us here. We need those champions like you have.